There has been a steady rise in household expenditure on consumption of goods and services in industrial nations for decades. This increase is partly due to increased disposable incomes amongst the rising number of consumers in the middle class. Personal consumption and expenditure has increased fourfold in 4 decades. The consumption rates in developing countries like India are not far behind and rapidly rising. Rapid urbanization has also put a significant stress on natural resources. The impact is such that worldwide we extract 60 billion tons of raw materials every year. The number of people living in urban areas in India will increase from 350 million in 2012 to 915 million by 2050. These are clearly unsustainable practices, not only from a climate change perspective, but also from a security of supply perspective. Humanity's ecological footprint already exceeds the Earth's biocapacity by more than 50%. This is but a recent development. The Indian society has for long been regulated by practices that encourage living in harmony with the society as well as the environment. This is reflected in practices as basic as the choice of the attire. The traditional Indian attire has always been eco-friendly, be it the dhoti or the sari, locally produced, unstitched and multipurpose. The idea was to ensure the maximum utility of goods. Local sourcing was also essential as it created local employment. The products would pass on from one generation to another and serve the purpose and were part of a sustainable lifestyle. Today, India has one of the fastest growing populations in the world, and associated with it is the growing consumerism. Indian middle class, who represents only 13.1% of India's population, currently owns 49% of total number of cars in India, 21% of TVs, 53.2% of computers, 52.9% of ACs, 37.8% of microwaves, and 45.7% of credit cards. What does this mean? How does it affect the environment? Let's illustrate this with an example. The ubiquitous mobile phone, one of the most commonly used products today. India has the world's second largest mobile phone user base with over 929.37 million users as of May 2012. The typical life cycle of a cell phone is materials extraction and processing, manufacturing, packaging and transport, useful life, and end of life. Let's see in detail how this affects the ecosystem. In general, a mobile handset consists of 40% metals, 40% plastics, and 20% ceramics and trace materials. For manufacturing, materials need to be extracted. Various liquid crystalline substances, either naturally occurring or human-made, are used to make LCDs. Cell phones use several types of batteries, which may contain nickel, cobalt, zinc, cadmium, copper, lithium, metallic oxide, and carbon-based materials, all mined from the earth. Materials must be processed before manufacturers can use them to make products. Crude oil is combined with natural gas and chemicals in a processing plant to make plastic. Copper and other metals are mined, ground, heated, and treated with chemicals and electricity to isolate the pure metal used to make circuit boards and batteries. Plastics and fiberglass are used to manufacture the circuit board, which is then coated with gold plating. LCDs are manufactured by sandwiching liquid crystal between layers of glass or plastic. Batteries consist of 2 separate parts, called electrodes, made from 2 different metals. Packaging consumes valuable natural resources, such as paper from trees, plastic from crude oil in the earth, aluminium from ore, or other materials, all of which use energy to produce and can result in waste. Transportation by plane, truck, or rail all requires the use of fossil fuels for energy. During the use of the phone, it consumes energy to operate. All your connection providers need to run servers and signal towers that run on electrical energy. The wide penetration of technology means that India will have more mobile phones than people by 2022. An indicator of the growing consumerism is the rapidly declining rate of obsolescence and an increase in the number of people using more than one mobile phone. What can and must we do? Sustainable consumption and production, referred to as SCP, is an essential building block for progress towards sustainable development. SCP recommends adopting an integrated approach encompassing both production and consumption. The aim is to address environmental impacts of products and services throughout their life cycle. SCP can provide new approaches to manufacturing and production that help in achieving sustainable goals. Appropriate technologies can achieve social and economic progress and at the same time help minimize negative environmental impacts. As an exemplary tool from the SCP toolbox, policymakers need to evaluate the use of product policy as a means of achieving environmental objectives, promote eco-design, and establish processes and practices for improving product performance. In this direction, making manufacturers responsible for the entire life cycle is a practice being followed extensively in Europe. Market-based approaches encouraging SCP should be promoted, leveraging the purchasing power of individuals and institutions. As a responsible and sustainable consumer, avoid buying if you don't really need it. Be aware that each time you buy, you modify the environment forever. Buy responsibly. Find out alternatives to goods you buy. Pick from among the best ethically and environmentally sourced. As much as possible, buy local products. Make positive changes to your buying behavior. Celebrate your good decisions.